Hi everyone, welcome back to my next quote of the day. Today we're going to kind of continue along with the theme of Mark Twain, his quote that in 20 years you'll be more disappointed by what you didn't do than by what you did. So let out your sails, explore, dream, discover. And so we're going to continue with that theme, the idea that there should be an element of self-examination in my life almost all the time. I should look to see how well I'm living and if I'm living well, to continue, and if I'm not, to be willing to make changes and do things differently. So we're going to have a quote from the great granddaddy of really I think the nomadic movement in America, of a lot of movements in America, Henry David Thoreau. You're going to know this quote. We all know it, and I just think it fits in here so perfectly. I want to include it here. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when it came to die, discover that I had not lived. And I think that's just, that just summarizes everything we're saying here, that you should be living a life you're proud of, that you should not look back with disappointment. And it goes along really well with the theme of my life, which is that I live for my death. I live to know that on the last week of my life, the last day of my life, the last hour, the last minute of my life, that I can look back without disappointment at who I've been and what I've done, that I've lived. And I think that what Henry David Thoreau here says is so important. You have to make a deliberate effort. You have to be determined to see whether you are living or merely existing and surviving. That if you aren't careful, also the F. Scott Fitzgerald, that you'll be pulled back. The current is always pulling you back into conformity, into nothingness, into a life you will regret. And so you have to go to the woods to live deliberately, to confront the essential facts of life, so that when you came to the end of your days, you can say, I have lived, and there won't be a risk of saying, I never lived. I was just a cog in the machine and did what I was told. I conformed and no more. And so I think it just all really ties in here together, that on a daily basis, on a regular basis, you need to have self-examination, a period of time, once a month, once a day, once a week, whatever works for you, that you say, am I living a life I'm proud of? Am I exploring, dreaming, and discover? And you have to be careful not to fall into self-condemnation. It's easy to do that because there's only so much you can do. We have to have money. There's a certain amount of conformity we all have to do. We can't just do anything we want. It's impossible. Some of us have to work regularly, often, more than we want. Maybe you can't even go at all, and I'm not condemning you if you are still in your home, got a home base, sticking bricks, and you can't go. And there are many reasons why you couldn't. But are you doing all you can to live where you are? If you can't go now, am I still doing everything I reasonably can to be alive, to not be disappointed with myself, to not look back with disappointment? So can you look back at the last year, and even if you're stuck in a house, you're stuck doing whatever you have to do, raising kids, paying off the house, earning the last little bit of your Social Security, you're earning the last little bit of your pension. All those things are true. I did them. But can you still look back on your last year, on your last month, on your last week? Can you look back on yesterday and say, yes, I have to be here right now, but I still lived my life to the fullest that I possibly could today. I lived as much as possible in the last year, the last month, the last week, the last day. So I can agree with all of these men that I can agree that I'm living a life I'm proud of, as proud as I can be in my circumstances. I've lived as much as I can in my circumstances. Sometimes you can't change your circumstances, I could not. This is something that definitely applies to me. So at any rate, make a deliberate effort. I love the image of F. Scott Fitzgerald beating against a current that's always pulling you back. There's nothing wrong with the fact that you lose to the current. Sometimes you can't break free of the current. It's pulling you back. It's pulling you back. But you've always deliberately set your mind to live your best possible life. A life I can be proud of today. So that's my hope for you, that you can always say, whatever your circumstances, that you're not as free as you want, you're not as proud as you would like to be, but I have done all I can, and I am very proud of that. I hope you can do that, folks. I hope you can make that a part of your life. And always strive. It's always pulling you back. You're fighting against the current. You're fighting against conformity. Conformity is always pulling you back. Society demands that you put back on the yoke, that you put on the chains, and you get to work making society money, making the rich rich. And if you get happy along the way, great, but if you don't, who cares? So you have to keep always fighting against that and doing all you can to make sure that you're living a life you're proud of, living the life of your dreams. So if you'll do that, folks, I think you'll be better off. You'll be very grateful that you're living a life you can be proud of for the circumstances you're in. Folks, I hope you got something out of this video. I hope these little words on this amazing quote from Henry David Thoreau had some impact on your life. If they did, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and I'll talk to you on the next quote to live your life by.